Okay. I love this new software. We go live right away. This is awesome. And we're live. What's up, Kingdom of Rock? This is Matt Gibson. And we're here today for the second broadcast of Kingdom of Rock. We sometimes we do up to 3 broadcasts a day, 1 p.m., 5 p.m., and 9 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Today we have the always wonderful and cheerful Michael Molenda. How's it going, Michael?
Good. I'm happy. I'm cheerful.
That's right. You could tell. I could just tell by your countenance right now that you're in a happy mood.
Yes. I'm Italian. What the hell? I'm always happy.
That's right. Yeah. Forget about it. Right.
What's the story about?
That's right. That's right. So today I have two of my friends here, Dave Reffett and Mr. Michael Angelo Batio. And I got that right, didn't I?
Yeah.
All right. We just schooled me up on the pronunciations, which I'm getting better at it. Let's just say that. So, Michelangelo, I remember back in the day, I think I took one of your VHS courses back in the day.
Yeah.
Like Learn to Shred or something like that. I can't remember. And it was like, that's kind of when I started understanding alternate picking. So it's cool to have you on the show, man.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. I still enjoy teaching, I mean, I don't do it privately. I haven't for a long time, but we do master classes before concerts and, it's going really well. I can't complain.
Yeah.
Helping people gives back too, so it's good.
And Dave, of course, he's already been on the show before. He was one of my first guests. Back in, that would have been like 3 or 4 years ago, I think, something like that.
Cool, nice.
So, and one interesting thing about Dave is currently in Shanghai, so he's going through it,
Shanghai. Why did you end up there? What are you doing there?
I've been in China for 5 years now. I came here on tour a long time ago. Ended up marrying a Chinese girl. And we got 2 kids, and they just kept throwing money at me, basically. So.
Can you speak Mandarin, Dave?
A tiny bit, not very good. I kind of gave up on it. I can say I can get in a taxi and say, take me here to this address. So little things.
Yeah, I'll tell you, I've had a hard time over the years. They tell me to speak in Chinese. That's a real big thing. And, I'd be like, Beijing. And they, how do I do? You said Beijing, okay. I can't speak it. It's really difficult. Really difficult.
Well, as everybody knows, we're doing a series right now called COVID-19 in the entertainment industry. And things are kind of a wreck out there for people that make their living in the entertainment business right now, especially musicians, backline workers, venue owners, booking agents. It's kind of bad out there, and so we're just trying to bring everybody together and talk about it and see if there's anything we can do to bring a little bit of light into the world here. And so let me ask you, Michael, how have things affected you with all this all the shutdowns?
For me, I have a new record that's been finished since September. It was supposed to come out, last month, and we put a delay on it. I had a May tour, a 28 city tour that got postponed. But hold on, wait. Hello. I'm just, I don't know who this is. It's probably some robocall, but I love it. Your IP address has been compromised. Oh, really? But anyway, I think that, I think in any kind of business, diversification. See, I don't just rely on my live income for income, and I don't teach privately. I don't, but I just do other things. So I'm just grateful because I can weather the storm. So for me, it's like, okay, the album's delayed. It's delayed. There's nothing we can do. The thing that I just hope is that when we come out of this, it's almost like a terrorist attack where they say, if you change your life, the terrorist wins. And so my thinking now, obviously a virus, you can't equate it to a terrorist attack, but I think it is a new normal, but the key word is normal. And so after this is done, I think the best thing we can do is to get every sense of normalcy that we can, because, or else we're all going to become germaphobes, and nobody, it's going to be a 6 feet rule, or in Europe, 2 meter rule, in a concert. So I think you have to weather this, and they don't know all the details. It's been sketchy. A lot of people are arguing back and forth, but I know this: when it's done, we should just rock and return to normal. That's how I feel about it.
I like that just rock part. That's kind of inspiring. I think I really hope that, like, what everyone's talking about is how we think the arts are going to just kind of spring into like super high activity, after all of this, and maybe we'll get back to our roots of having all these awesome live shows and music venues. Maybe even we talked about earlier today, maybe this is a way for the local music scenes to kind of get rebooted. Instead of having the whole world's in the same music scene, it's kind of like now maybe we'll have more localized music scenes again, where it's the city or the region that you're in. What do you think about that, Michael?
I think, I live in the Chicago area, and I also lived in California. I came up in the 80s school of LA, and I lived out there a long time in Los Angeles. But Chicago has a thriving music scene. And what I've seen, I've done thousands of guitar clinics, 58 countries. Okay. Dave, you live in China. I've been there, over 15 times, and I don't know as much about Dave, but I've been there extensively, every region. But I just think that, what can you do with all this? It's like I said, it's simple. Just rock. We have to just do the best that we can. Sorry, I'm digressing. I'm starting to think about China, all the BS I can go through to get on Chinese TV. It was crazy. But I don't know. I don't know. Somebody else should take the question, because I can get a little crazy about this whole coronavirus thing. I just think I'm kind of split in the middle. I think it's really serious, and I think it's overblown at the same time. I truly do. I think we went ballistic, in the world economy. I think there's been other pandemics that have been really bad, but and this is not like, people my age. I'm the guy that could be susceptible to this stuff, but I kind of think it's somewhere in the middle, that it's super dangerous. But I also think that to shut down the entire United States economy, just take a hammer to it, is pretty crazy. And I think with the Chicago music scene, here's one thing I was going to say. I'm sorry, that I tour a lot. Before this coronavirus, I did almost a 30-city tour. I tour all over. I meet a lot of people. I'm a teacher, and I taught the scene right now on guitar. We have a new renaissance of guitar right now. If you just keep your ear, if you just watch on Instagram, this reminds me in the 21st century of like it was in the 80s, when I'm a local LA guy going to see Paul Gilbert and Yngwie, and it is exploding right now. And I don't think the scene, I think the scene is great. I think we just took a sledgehammer to everything, and we grinded it to a halt. We shut the faucets off, and I just turned it back on, and it should be okay. That's my humble opinion.
Well, Dave, since you're kind of in the original ground zero, and I know that we've got some reports that China just kind of lifted the sequestering order somewhat. We've seen pictures of people, running out to the, in the streets and stuff. How is it, and what's your feeling about the industry there?
The music industry here is absolutely dead in the water from this thing. It just is. I have friends who, they're Filipinos working in doing cover band, bar stuff, some people playing in 5-star hotel kind of stuff. Those guys are really hurting. Those are the guys who are really hurting, because I'm lucky I got a day job. I've got a 9-to-5. The guys who don't have the 9-to-5, they're really in bad shape. And then as far as the touring business and all that, it's totally screwed. Yeah, like we had Paul Gilbert actually come through recently. It was an amazing show. Only about 100 people there, I would say. And then before that, we had 5,000 people turn out for Generation X, you know, with Steve Vai and Malmsteen and that whole thing. And that was great. But something like that cannot happen now at this juncture anytime soon. Yeah, the Wuhan thing happened and just put the entire city on lockdown, which is unprecedented, never heard of in history before. But it was too late. It was too late. 5 million people had escaped the city, and off they went. And they took it to Shanghai and Beijing and Paris and, you know, Rome and all these other places. And then boom, now you see what we're seeing. And then also, you know, Trump sent a plane to rescue the Americans out of Wuhan, and they didn't know how contagious it was. They didn't know how deadly it was. So it's a bad deal, man, this whole thing. And if they knew sooner what they now know, it would have been contained a lot better. So it's an unfortunate thing.
But was there been any dates given to the Chinese industry about when they can start opening clubs yet? I mean, we're still shut down in California until allegedly May 3rd. It's probably going to go into June or July. But
yeah,
any dates there?
In Shanghai, they opened things up for about 2 weeks when they didn't have any quote unquote new cases. And then there was some imported cases, which were Chinese students coming back home, right, from places like America and Italy and all these other places. When these new cases came and some new cases started to spread, that's when they said, okay, shut it down again. So they shut down the clubs, they shut down all the big tourist attractions, you know, all the big skyscrapers and whatnot. So I don't see it coming, and all the schools are closed too. Like I've been teaching at home for months. I mean, I've been teaching online. I don't see it coming back anytime soon. I think at least a couple more months until they totally. All the big science experts are saying you need 14 entire days of no new cases before you can declare, okay, it's safe. But this is a new enemy that we're fighting, because there are people who can have mild to no symptoms. They don't even know they're sick, but they're still contagious, right? So that's what's tricky about this whole thing. And they're also saying people might be contagious for up to 30 days, not just 14 days like they thought.
How is the
previously.
lockdown different there in China? It's probably stricter there, right?
Yes. Some of the cities, there were entire provinces that were just absolutely locked down, nobody in, nobody out. And then in a city like Shanghai, we just had, you know, you have to stay home for this X amount of days, 14 days. And like I was telling Matt off air, you get a little QR code that says, oh, I've been in my house for 2 weeks, I'm healthy, blah, blah, blah. And then you can go and show that to places. You know, that's the only way they'll let you in or out of places.
Is that like grocery stores? I mean, like anywhere, but like not everywhere is open though, right?
Correct. And I even have in my apartment compound, have like a little piece of paper that I can leave one time a day. I can leave, they sign out that I left, and then I can come back and they say, okay, yeah, he's, you know, it's wild.
Hey, Dave, can I ask a question? Do you live in Shanghai?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, because that's one of Wuhan, Shanghai, Nanjing, and Beijing were the first 4 cities. I went there in '97.
Wow.
So, because you live there now, but I've seen the evolution of China from when the British gave Hong Kong. I was in Hong Kong the year they gave it back to the Chinese, when they used to speak Mandarin and Cantonese and English in Hong Kong. But it's a lot different. I've been to every region of China, so it's pretty intense. But as you know, though, communication, I like when all the times I've gone to China, I would ask questions because I work with people there for many years. Like I asked questions when I first went to China. There were no birds in the sky, nothing. There's nothing, and it took years. I went there 97, 2000, 2002, 2004. I was there like 3 times. And I finally asked somebody why. Or I visited Mao Zedong's house. I've seen museums about the Korean War where, according to them, China lost. They beat us in the Korean War. I've seen it. And I mean, I've seen all this stuff. But the thing that I want to say to people who have never been there, I asked a question. For example, remember that big tsunami that happened in Japan a few years ago? Nobody in China knew about it that I asked. Wow. And because, as you know, they control the media. So even the people in China don't always know what's going on. Look at every government. And I'm not trying to criticize the Chinese, but that's one of the things that's been so hard about this. We didn't get in a lot of information at first, and so, and then if you start putting the blame game on everybody, then it compounds the issue. But I just think this will die down. I mean, it's serious, but I mean, how about the flu 100 years ago, or the Black Plague? I mean, that wiped out, millions and millions. I mean, statistically speaking, nobody wants anybody to die. I mean, not one person. But if you look at the numbers, this is extremely low compared to other pandemics. And again, I'm not discounting the importance of it. It's different.
I think what I've done a little bit of it. I'm not super investigative when it comes to that kind of stuff. But like one of the things that I've heard that seems to make a lot of sense is it's not so much that it's different than the flu in the sense that, people that get it, there's only a small percentage of people that die. I think the problem is so many people can get it all at the same time because it transfers itself to people so fast, and they're worried the hospitals are not going to be able to handle the sick people. And a lot of people are going to die unnecessarily because the hospitals can't handle the surge of everybody getting this at the same time and having respiratory problems. But like, again, when it comes to the media and it's for profit media, it's hard to know. It's hard to get good information. Like, even if you're not it doesn't matter. Like if you're in communist China or the United States of America, it's hard to get good information because there's so many people that are trying to keep it away from you,
Yeah. I mean, you should see me. I would go to the store, I'm north of Chicago, but, I've got a mask that I had from Beijing. It's a 3M mask with the filter on it. It's bad. It almost looks like I'm like, and it's cool looking. I'm walking down there, like, yes, don't mess with me.
Dude, you should get a picture of your double neck guitar with that mask on it.
That's a good idea. I'll do it. Yeah.
Yeah.
But as it relates to music, it grinded everything to a halt. And most of the musicians I know when I was younger, it was different era though. I was signed to Warner Brothers twice, so it was different. We had tour support, we had label support. It was just a lot different era than now. But most people make their money live. Like I was just seeing Jason Richardson, a great young guitar player. He's like, hey man, we were supposed to go on tour. We got a ton of merch. I could see a big warehouse full of merch, and they just want to sell stuff. It's really impacted a lot of people, adversely. It's crazy.
We were just talking about the merch thing because a couple other people on the show have mentioned that, and it's kind of like, what to take away from the COVID-19 pandemic is like probably print T-shirts that don't have your tour dates on the back for a while. Just have your logo and you'll be fine.
Or you could have like scratch off, dates on there where you can change the date. It's just like a big white block, and you just kind of etch the, the date in there. Cases, because you know what, the chances of this happening again, I would guess is pretty high. Like I'm not really a cynic when it comes to things, but I think that like now that the public is used to going in their caves, going home and having to stay in their rooms, I think people are going to stockpile a little bit more. And I think it's going to be easier for the government to kind of shove us in our rooms and control the population. And it does worry me sometimes that that may be used in a negative way, that is a controlling way, and for, politicians can do things to kind of, sway the vote, or you can use that to leverage your position.
Well, I'm sad about this because part of my DNA is Hungarian, but look what that, the prime minister, whatever, of Hungary did. He shut the whole country down. It's like it's virtually a dictatorship now, and he used the COVID-19 crisis to win amazing dictatorial powers. Hopefully, well, I don't know. I don't know if he's going to give them up when the crisis is over, but that is kind of a cautionary tale about what could happen. Hopefully never in America, but you never know.
We got too much metal in this country.
Yeah, and like I was saying,
it'll rise up.
Yeah, I mean, I had the busiest tour schedule for the first couple months. I played well over 40 shows by the end of February, but the scene is rocking. And people say, "Oh, rock's dead." And when I was a kid, I mean, I'm older too. I mean, I'm susceptible to this coronavirus. I'm staying, laying low. Mm-hmm. But I just, when I was a kid, rock was always in the underground. Yeah, Led Zeppelin was huge, but they weren't considered a pop band. It was always that, Black Sabbath. We like them because our parents didn't like it. But the scene is thriving. I mean, so many death metal bands are just selling tickets like you wouldn't believe. A lot of instrumental guitar. I mean, I had the best tour that I've had in a long time, and my age demographic, it was great. That's what I was thinking. Like, I mean, Michael, you're a journalist. I mean, but guitar is different. I think I think musicians are more. It's I don't know. I always say if musicians ran the world, we would have world peace. But I think that the best thing, in my humble opinion, that we can possibly do is when this is over, because you guys hit it right on the head. Politicians can use this to further whatever agenda they have. And I'm not one to ever talk about politics or religion live. It's not my place. People want to hear me play guitar. But I think the best thing we can do is not say, "Oh, the world's going to be changed. It's never going to be the same." Of course, the only constant is change. It's a philosophical idea. We go back out and we kick butt. We play guitar. We do shows. We're not afraid. I'm not saying I'm going to shake everybody's hand. I started doing the fist bump, and I did that a long time ago. But I think that's the best we can do. We get out of this and say we're going to go back to the best normalcy we can. Because if it changes us, then this thing wins. And you're right. If it comes back, and my other point is too, if you look at catastrophic events. Whether it's World War II when we got bombed, look what I did. I played for the troops at Pearl Harbor, and I took that World War II exam. I'm a big proponent of history. My dad used to say, "Son, don't reinvent the wheel." So I don't want to reinvent the wheel. My motto is always a student. I never think I'm so good that I can't learn something new. But if you look at this, whether it was 9/11 or this, we get hit hard, and it's something new. This is new. Nobody's ever dealt with it. So you can blame the top part of the government, the states, whatever. But I think we're going to be much more ready for something like this. This is new. We've never experienced anything like this. When's the last time a virus has shut the American economy down? Not my lifetime. I don't know. So it's different.
Well, it didn't. You're right. It didn't even really do it in 1918. It didn't shut it down to the level it's been shut down now.
Right.
I mean, I don't know all the specifics, but and there was some sheltering in place back then in those days. I think even Chicago might have started that whole scene back then. But for the most part, stores were open. The trains ran, and we all know that hopefully this crisis never takes out as many people as the 1918 Spanish flu did, because that was millions across the world.
Yeah.
Dead, not just infected, but killed.
But we haven't had one since then. The flu kills a lot of people every year. I mean, it's for sure. But the point is, you learn. It's a learning curve. We were hit hard, and we didn't have all the information. you know, and I'm not blaming anybody. I'm not one to place the blame. You know, it's like Lennon said, you know, find solutions, you know. I mean, anybody can complain, but I just think we're going to learn a lot from this, you know, supply chains and local governments. And look at Hurricane Katrina. I was in Paris when Hurricane Katrina hit, and I was in that region a week before it happened. And I saw what happened, how the chain of events. And it was a colossal failure of local government. The National Guard couldn't come in because the state has to call in the Guard. Then when they came in, there were no roads because we were all flooded out. It was like a mess. But we haven't had that since then. You know, we learned from that. And that's what I'm hoping, that we all learn and we go back to normal, whatever that normal is. We just rock. I know I sound simplistic, but it's that simple. I'm playing guitar now like I'm possessed. I'm sitting here in my studio going, gotta play, gotta practice. You know, it's like, gotta make the donuts. I'm practicing like a fiend.
One thing about metal that I really appreciate, and Michael, you really kind of like embody that spirit of metal, you know, is that intensity and that drive and that, like, you know, like it's that you can't hold the human spirit down. You know what I mean? It's like it's kind of that whole, you know, strong feelings of everything and kind of that personal revolution where you have that you're inspired and you want to go out and change the world, make the world better, you know? And that's my favorite thing about metal.
Well,
honestly.
you do have a metal bias, Matt, but I would say that I would
Me too.
There's nothing wrong with that.
Musicians, the rock cats and the jazz. I mean, musicians have been a pretty formidable group as a whole for change, you know, at least in my lifetime, you know, all the way back to the Summer of Love and, you know, all that. So, I mean, I just think musicians as a whole, it's like, yeah, I agree with Michael. We got to get through this. And I think that musicians are equipped to not only help with charity and understanding, but also to get back and, as Michael said, get things back to normal, because all of us, whether we play jazz or metal or pop or rock or funk, is like we want to get out there and make people happy.
Yeah.
Well, I will say this. If you were at a Joe Pass concert and next door you had a Five Finger Death Punch concert, the lead singer of Five Finger Death Punch could lead everyone out of the Coliseum and take over the city. So I'm just going to say there is a difference a little bit.
I got a good Joe Pass story.
I love Joe Pass, by the way.
I do too. I studied jazz when I was younger. And I studied Joe Pass's book. And in the 80s, I had just released this instructional program you're probably talking about. It was Starlicks. And I was completely LA, total rocked out. And I had this t-shirt with a smiley face with a bullet hole in it and blood dripping down. Yeah. And I'm walking out and I see Joe Pass. And I go, and he had this book. It's his face drawn and it's a red book. And I studied it and I knew the riffs. And I go, hey, Joe, can I get a picture with you? Because we're at the NAMM show. He goes, no, absolutely not. Why? He goes, I studied your book. He goes, no, you didn't. And we were at the Starlicks booth and the instructional video booth, and they had guitars there. And I started playing one of his riffs. He goes, you did study my book. I said, I told you. And he goes, oh, I'll take a picture with you.
Dude, who just had a Joe Pass story on here?
Oh man, who was? Because they was going to take a lesson with him. Who was that?
Oh, it was Carl Verheyen.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he was like, yeah, he was a kid, and Joe was like, all right, kid, I'll give you a lesson. And he shows up to Joe's house, and right as he's there, Joe is leaving with his kids with some fishing poles to go fish, and he forgot about it. He's like, oh, I gotta teach this kid. You know, it was a great story. You should go back and listen to that episode.
Well, it was actually, I guess Joe was on tour and it was a hotel room. And the other funny part of that is Carl walks into the hotel room with Joe and there's like underwear on the floor and cigarettes stubbed out into pizza boxes and all this stuff. He was just holed up there with his kids, I guess. But,
yeah.
But on the brighter side, you know, Dave, maybe you can take this one. Besides homeschooling your children, what are you doing, you know, musically to kind of keep yourself engaged during this stay-at-home scenario?
Similar to Michael, I've been practicing a lot. I've got a few guitars that I really love right now that I'm playing a ton, and I'm trying to record a little bit here and there. I've been teaching a lot, private students, and then I got my day job. Like I said, my day job is I teach grade 1 to 5 music. So teaching them is, it's like a breeze. It's like, what notes are these on the staff, and boring stuff like that, and just really basic stuff.
Is there anything that you came across? I mean, when you say you're practicing, did you have one of those moments where it's like, oh, I really need to know how to flat pick or do this or play country, or was there anything that you're expanding your knowledge base, or just keeping your chops together?
As I've gotten older, I just like to write. That's my favorite thing to do, is write and compose and improvise, and I still have my favorite groups that keep me in that kind of thing. But with the little bit of time that we have on this earth, I wish we lived forever, but it's just not the case. I think over time we start to think, oh, we better start focusing on our compositions and those kinds of things. So that's mainly what I did. I've also invested in some equipment. I bought some really high-end film equipment. I'm hoping to start doing some really great videos. I've got a guitar company that another way to sort of supplement my income is there's a company here, they want to pay me to do videos of their guitars. So that's pretty cool. I'm going to start doing that. To all the artists out there, do whatever you got to do to survive through this thing, man. Do that kind of stuff. Look at Paul Stanley. Paul Stanley from Kiss, he's doing these for free.
Yeah.
He doesn't need the money. The guy's got $200 million, but there's so many smaller artists who I would love to see them do that. Just pick up their guitars and run through their songs and say, here's how I wrote this song. Here's how I did this. And I would gladly pay to see some of my favorite artists do that kind of thing. Even Jeff Waters from Annihilator, who's one of my favorite guitar players, he was watching the Paul Stanley stuff and saying, I've been playing these Kiss songs wrong for 40 years. Yeah. So,
well, the Paul Stanley stuff is so, because in the previous episode, we were kind of talking about authenticity and stuff. And the Paul Stanley videos are awesome because, you don't get that, hello, Cleveland, let's rock. He's like this kind of, he's a little dorky, Well, when I wrote this, I kind of, it's great content, but it's also interesting to see Paul just in his house talking to you like we're talking now. He's not the rock star. He's just the dad who wants to help you learn how to play his songs. It's funny.
Exactly.
Yeah,
when he gets on stage, he's like, people, I want to hear you. Yeah.
That's pretty good.
That was pretty. Yeah, that was spot on, bro. Good job.
I can do the whole Paul thing.
Well, Michael, for you, I mean, it must have been frustrating. You had a record dropping, which has been delayed. A tour obviously recorded.
Yeah.
So, do you spend your time now writing your next record, or are you keeping your muscles intact for when you do go out on tour and support it, or have you just said, hey, I'm going to take a break and not really stress about it?
No, I'm using this time really creatively and playing a lot, because there's nothing we can do. We can only react. We can't be proactive about this. So, but I've been doing Facebook Lives, things. I've been giving free lessons online, and the numbers have been great. I did 14 playthrough videos live in the studio, so we're releasing all that, and we're also booking up. I've got the entire last part of the year. I've got about 100 shows booked. I'm not sitting down, because I think if you be complacent, then all of a sudden you come out of this, because I truly am expecting to come out of this running, not going out and like, you do this, not
the power of I don't feel it. I can't,
you got, the metaphor is this, not this. And so, but I've been super busy, and I align myself with really good people. There's that old meme that says, if you're the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong room. And I've aligned myself. In the last 2 years, my business model is virtually 100% different than it was. I had the owner of my former guitar company die. I was a worldwide spokesman. It's not the same company. So I had to change. But I work with people I really like. I respect they're great business people in music business, not any other business. And so I'm keeping it going. If I have to last till August, so be it. It's all, but I diversify my time. I'm not just locked into, oh my God, if I don't play a show, I'm going to lose my house. It's not like that. And I'm not saying I'm so wealthy, but I just split my time into things that are different income streams, and that, it's a music business, not the music game. So, but no one expected this, but I had a tour cancel, my album, the record release party in LA, 5 new signature guitars. The list goes on and on. It's like, that's what I said. It's like, let's take a sledgehammer, whack, and let's just slam it shut. Now, what do we do? So I'm fully anticipating this we're going to come out of it really strong. And I'm an optimist, but I think being a pessimist, why? What's it going to do? But I think we're going to have to learn about this. It is going to be a little different, but if we let this take us over, if we don't have live shows, if we're in this at December of this year, forget it. It's done. I mean, no economy is meant to stop on a dime, and that's exactly what we did. Restaurants, the Starbucks I go to is closed now. So I have to go another one. I mean, it's really crazy. But knock on wood, because of my teaching and not private, I don't do Skype lessons, but because of all this other stuff I've got, I've been able to weather the storm and be super busy. So I don't have to play. I love to play, but I don't have to right now. Mm-hmm. And I'm very fortunate of that. It's really, and I think other people are like that too, that are older. Like when you were saying, Dave, when you get older, I think everybody comes to a crossroads in their music career. Like when I first started, I got signed to Atlantic Records in a band called Holland. Tom Werman produced us. I'm in my 20s, and our first tour was Aerosmith playing Sheds. It was the Done With Mirrors tour, but I learned something valuable. I'm totally straight. I don't smoke cigarettes, pot, drugs. I can't say I didn't experiment back in the day, but Aerosmith was straight. That tour, they straightened out. It was in our contract that said if we did any kind of drugs, they caught us with beer, we would get kicked off the tour. I mean, so there comes a time in your life, you get older, you say, okay, am I going to make it to music business, or am I still going to be a bar star? Trying to, and so that's what I think. You cross that threshold.
Yeah, I think the bar star thing, that's a good way of putting it. A lot of artists, like in local music scenes in not big cities, it's kind of like, maybe it's, like people have different reasons for being in bands and playing music, and I don't really give anybody a hard time. If you just want to play bars and like meet girls at your local bar because you're a musician and stuff, I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. But I think if you're telling yourself that you're gonna make it, you've got to have that work ethic, and you've got to have that business mindset. And I think a lot of artists kind of sell themselves short because they think that they want to make it big, but they're not doing make it big thinking. They're not looking at it in a way that's going to make them successful. And I hopefully the show is going to help people with that a little bit, because you guys are all pros, and you have the right mindset to be successful at what you're doing, and it's really helped me to kind of have the courage to move forward with my plans as a musician, and know that maybe it's a little fear, when you're moving out. Michael, you might address this a little bit. Actually, either Michael, you guys both have experienced this. When you first started pushing out into the music industry as an artist, like when did the light bulb go off? I mean, Michael, you were kind of talking about it with the Aerosmith tour, but like, when did you start becoming like, I'm a businessman and I'm gonna be all about professionalism and industry and that kind of thing?
Well, I come from on my mom's side of the family. We've had a flower shop in the family. What is going on here? Sorry. Okay, wait. Another IP address. Okay, I'm just kidding. But anyway, for over 130 years. It was in business since 1885. My first cousin, Don, runs it. And my family were artists. I have my great-grandfather, I have it framed. I have artwork from the 1800s from my family. So my mom traced our family tree. So I do come from a business background. But, like Michael, you were saying you're Italian, but you've got Hungarian. I'm Italian, I've got German. So the Italian in me plays 2 guitars and adds 4. And the German says, how can we monetize this? But here's what happened. I got a degree in music, Northeastern University. And again, I've said this, it doesn't make me better or smarter than anybody here. But what I did was I said, 1, I'm going to stop teaching guitar and move to California from my hometown of Chicago. 2, I'm going to get signed to a major label in 1 year. And I did it. We didn't actually sign the contract till a little later, but we had the deal memo with Atlantic Records with the band Holland. And I really wanted to make it. But see, those times I was still young and I didn't have credit card debt. I was a starving artist. I had no car. I had no money. I had a really nice girlfriend that I would stay at her house. I'd borrow her car. And so I had a lot of help. But once we got signed, I never looked back, because then I got signed again and I learned lessons from being signed. When you get over $120,000 to do an album, you know how much I got paid on this Holland album? $300, because it wasn't named Batio. And I was the main songwriter with the lead singer, every single song on the album. And we were in that movie, Girls Just Want to Have Fun, with Sarah Jessica Parker. I mean, all this big stuff, but I saw no money. I mean, it's like, I'm at Atlantic Records.
Mom, Dad, can I come home? Is the old bedroom still there?
I had no money. I was broke. And so I said, when I got into Nitro, completely changed, because I told the singer, Jim, he was only 19. I said, Jim, this is how it's going to work. I said, we're going to get a budget. And he had a great attorney, Al Schlesinger. It was amazing. And so I learned the lesson, and we did really well in Nitro. So it was right when I got out of college. I said, I took a break because I had a lesson business in Illinois. I was teaching at a really great store called the Music Gallery. It's still there. They're a diamond dealer. They're super high end, really wealthy area, Highland Park, where Oprah lived and Michael Jordan and CEOs from a lot of big companies in Chicago. Super rich area, Beverly Hills of Chicago. But I said, man, I'm going to do it. And I just have this crazy belief sometimes that you're just going to do it. I mean, find a way. That's the goal. Find a way. Because anybody can talk. Anybody can comment online. Oh, this sucks. My thinking in my head is, comment all you want. I'm practicing. I just work. I work and shut up and don't. Nobody cares that I don't want to be Ted Nugent or some radical that says one side or the other side of politics. I just want to play. But I love playing music. I'm still really passionate about it, and metal. I love metal. But I think it's going to rebound really well. That's my personal belief. And I'm hoping everybody out there that sees this to plan for normalcy. Because you don't want to plan for the change world, like you said, where politicians can say they start running the country now. Oh, no, you can't do this now. Oh, you can't go here and after 10 o'clock at night. That's the scary part. We just go out and play and go to shows and support our artists, and we'll be all right. Go to Olive Garden again.
Well, Dave, on that end, what did you kind of do for your plan? For where you ended up in the music biz? Did you? I mean, I'm not going to say you fell into it, but did you have a strategy like Michael, or how did you do it?
My strategy is this. My dad used to say, it's not enough. Well, he didn't come up with this, but my dad was great with sayings like, when you were talking about Dave about, once you get older, my dad used to say, yeah, youth is wasted on the young. Mm-hmm. And he would say, don't reinvent the wheel. But my strategy was very simple. When I was 10 years old, I started playing guitar. At 10 years old, I played my first recital. At 12 years old, I was in bands playing. There were teen centers. And I remember when I was 13, our 3-piece band made $45 and I got $15 to play. I'm like, that's awesome. Let's go to Mickey D's. And so, but I for example, I went out for the jazz band when I was in high school. You know how many guitarists audition?
Mhm.
One. And I didn't even understand. I studied jazz, but my guitar teacher never wrote out C major seventh, like C triangle seven or C minus, like a minus sign or a plus sign. He always wrote MAJ seven. So I'm looking at these charts. I couldn't read them. I'm like, are you kidding me? What is this? And I never had seen charts like that. I couldn't read it. And my teacher at the time, the head of the music department of high school, he goes, "Oh, you're in." I go, "Okay." And I went to my guitar teacher. I said, "What is this?" I was mad. I said, "I'm supposed to be learning these chords. What is this?" He goes, "Oh, well, the triangle means a major, the minus means minor, the plus is augmented, and the circle is diminished." Well, thank you very much. So once I did that, I learned it. But I always went for it. And that's the plan. I mean, I played with guys from Santana, Chipita Arias, when I first moved to LA. That brought to another band, to another. So you kind of make your own luck, and you seize an opportunity. I mean, I made some big mistakes in my life too. I had a contract offered to me. I did this Starlix video. It was the very first shred video ever done.
Mhm.
And the company that owned that founded the International House of Pancakes. His name was Al Lappin. He looked like Blake Carrington. This guy's wearing a $100,000 Rolex, driving the Rolls Royce. They did a market test on me. I had the #1 selling video. I was outselling Brian May, Steve Lukather. I had the #1 because it was mind-blowing guitar.
Yeah.
They wanted to sign me to a huge contract. Huge. They guaranteed me a major label deal, a car, an apartment, and I didn't. And my dad will be mad at me because he's passed away. But he told me not to do it, and I didn't do it. They tried for a year to get me to sign, and I didn't. But I was thinking about that today. But so what? But that's what happens. Did Dave leave the conversation?
I think his internet dropped.
Okay.
He'll probably be back.
Anyway, Michael, that's I think no one's ever prepared for success, but you just work hard. And Jim Gillette from Nitro said a great thing to me. He goes, "Dude, don't ever be bitter, dude. Because if you start, if I start looking at other guitar players, maybe that are younger, that even in a bigger band, and I said, man, they suck. I should be doing, why isn't that me?" That's the kiss of death, I think, for me anyway, personally. But I just find ways. Like Steve Vai said it great in this interview, and he talks about getting inspiration for his heart from me. But he said something like, he goes something like either the ham or the flame. I couldn't get, but he goes, "It's always cooking. It's always cooking, and I make no apologies." And that's how I think. It's always cooking. Got to figure out something. So that's the moral of the story for me.
That's awesome. Well, I think from doing Guitar Player magazine for 20 plus years, I mean, sadly, I ran into a lot of that, which you said at the end there. It's like, why aren't I super famous, or why aren't I as good as that? Or these young kids don't know crap. Why are they getting more opportunities than me? And it's always kind of sad when I hear somebody who's actually got a really nice career going say things like that. Because I look at them and go, "Dude, you're fine. Why are you so bitter? Nice car, nice place. Your kids are okay. You got your health. What the heck's the matter with you?" Of course, I can't say that because I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings. But it's always amazing to hear that from people.
Yeah. Well, my dad used to say. He told me when I was a little kid. He said, "Son, you don't have to be the richest person. You don't have to be the most famous person." He said, "Be happy." Mm-hmm. And I found in my life, because I ask a lot of questions, I get to meet a lot of people on tour because I do these master classes. My concert is unlike other guitar players. I tell stories. I talk about, like, if I do a song, I tell the story behind it. I mean, I've jammed with Kiss before, and I sang Dr. Love, and Gene Simmons was cracking up because I didn't have a songbook. I love Kiss. I've never had one Kiss album in my life, but he couldn't believe that I didn't know the lyrics. All I knew is, "Call me doctor." I made them up by listening to what he said. He goes, "What are you singing?" Because I get the songbook. But I think that it's like, I mean, I just think, for people out there with because of this coronavirus, it gives people an opportunity that look at it as an opportunity, and it gives other people, like I had, and I'm not trying to say this to elicit any kind of sympathy, But I had my younger sister die. I had my mother die. My dad's been gone a long time. I had a lot of things happen to me all at once. And it's like everybody's been through this. I'm not unique, where we're just like everything happens. This was 2 years ago. And it's like, it's like, God, why me? Why not you? And so, what makes you think you are so different? And so everything happened. And I started, for the first time, when you start thinking maybe the best days are behind you, that's a scary thought. And I'm looking back at all this stuff in my career, and, I've had a great career and a great life. And I said to myself, wait a second, start taking a shower, shave, go to the gym, practice guitar. But that's what I said. I changed a lot of things in the last couple of years. And I have to admit, this coronavirus thing, done, slam the door, shut. I've never seen anything like this. But I have a choice. I can sit there and watch Netflix all day. I don't have Netflix, or I could sit there and say, okay, how can I work on this? So I've been working on my new double guitar solo. We've been working on signature guitars, we're getting ready for when this thing opens up. So, and I think it's metal's a lifestyle. So, I laugh about it, but it's true. I feel like this. That's how I feel all the time. And people say sometimes, Mike, they'll see me perform. Dude, are you on coke? No, I'm happy. I am truly happy, and I love what I do. And if I ever stop loving what I do, then I'll quit. But my skills are really sharp because I practice what I preach. I'm a teacher, but I'm a classically trained teacher. So I have an experience. I can tell you piano books from 100 plus years ago. That's how I fashioned guitar. But my lessons are still doing really good because they were good from the beginning, because there's thought process. It wasn't just, well, let's do 20 licks, and that's where I can, a lot of young people listen to what I have to say, because I'm living proof you can be older and still rip, and some guy goes up to me, a young guy about a year ago, goes, dude, why don't you just retire and let other people? And I was like, why should I? Take it from me, and it's like, you do it, and so, but I'm not excited about this coronavirus, but I'm excited about the opportunities afterwards. And my moral of this is, let's make this a new killer normal, better than it was before. Okay, we're going to learn. We haven't 9/11. We learned. Katrina. We learned. Okay. Everybody can blame everybody. That's not a solution. Just figure out a way to get this done. That's the way.
Michael's you're like the pastor of metal, bro. I'm serious. It's so cool, man. You're inspirational. Let me ask you a question. Well, first of all, before we go here, we got about 10 minutes.
We should get to Dave's story.
Yeah. I'm gonna get Dave right after I get all or you can ask him that, Mike. Horst, Mike Moran, Mike Kerr. Oh, by the way, Mike Kerr, Dave. He said hi, Dave.
So Mike.
And Kareem Khorshid, Patrick King, P. King was on here. He used to be Vinnie Paul's drum tech. Super cool dude. Frank Irizarry, Mike Moran, Greg Mussolino, Michael Trickle, Ethan Humphrey. I just wanted to say thanks for listening to the show. Thanks for being on the live stream today. And then now that Dave's back, Mike, go ahead and it's all you.
Yeah, I guess did the Chinese censor you, Dave? Were you saying something you weren't supposed to?
It got too metal on
wife,
here.
My wife is censoring me. She's Chinese, so she said, "Be careful what you say on the interview."
But I just wanted to ask you to your journey and your plan, because Michael's obviously is pretty inspirational, and he kind of obviously just drove through any obstacle that was in his way. But what were some of your highlights or passions through your career?
Highlights and passions through my career. I grew up in a small little town in Kentucky, middle of nowhere.
Wow.
And I had the dream that I just wanted to be involved in music, and we had little bands and stuff. And to work with some of my heroes, people like Michael or Mike Mangini and all these different people that I've played with over the years, Michael Romeo and all these guys. That's stuff I wanted to do, just as kind of like bucket list items. You know, like I want to do this, I want to do that, I want to do this, and I've done so many things. And I was always in love with Guitar World magazine, and I wanted to be in Guitar World, and I did it. I did it 3 times.
Guitar player is really great.
I wanted to be a guitar player, but they never wanted it.
The editor
it's funny.
for that magazine was really stickler. I don't know. He
The
didn't
editor,
like people. Or
he never wrote me back.
Wait, who did? I
I'll
never
tell you,
wrote you back.
You never wrote me back. I know you're a busy guy. It's okay. I have a funny guitar player story. Me and Rusty Cooley are friends, and I was talking to Rusty once, and I said, Rusty, I said, guitar player, man, they wouldn't piss on me if I was on fire. And he's like, really? And he's like, guitar player is so cool, and Guitar World hates me. And I'm like, well, let's trade.
Yeah.
Right? But anyway, I know how it is. It's it's a tough business, man. It's you got to put somebody big in there, or you don't sell magazines, and you don't have a magazine. So I get it. But I've done so many cool things. Did a couple big best-selling DVDs for Guitar World. I've done a bunch of tours. I've played in a bunch of different countries. I did way more than I ever thought that I ever would, and more than anybody else ever thought I would. If you saw where I came from, I have friends. Some of my friends died at 30 from drugs and things like that. I'm the only person in my family who will ever have a master's degree. I'm getting my master's degree right now, actually.
Congrats.
Yeah, awesome.
So things like that. So like for me, it's like I try to achieve as much as I possibly can, and like Michael, keep a positive attitude, and that's why I like people like Kiss and Michael and all these different bands that I like, because he's right. You can be negative and all that, or you can try to make something out of what you have. And so hopefully I have a lot more to do. I still dream, I still have my dreams, and I hope I can accomplish a lot more.
What's your? I used to, when I was Ubering, when I first moved here to LA, I asked people in my car, "What's your biggest dream?" Right. So like, if you had a blank check, what would you do with your life from this point on?
I would love to be in a really big band. Like, it's probably a pipe dream at this point, but I still have those fantasies that Kirk Hammett's going to call me up and say, Dave, I'm sick of this stuff, man. I want to go ride my surfboard all day, and I'm choosing you to take over and be in Metallica. So I'm like, that's kind of
you could always you could Tanya Harding him.
Oh, there you go. Yeah. I had a funny dream once where this dream was so real too. Like Sammy Hagar, Alex Van Halen, Eddie Van Halen, and they're like,
maybe it was me.
They're like, Dave, Michael Anthony's leaving the band. We're putting the band back together, and da da da. And I'm like, fucking hell. And then my kid's like, Daddy, wake up.
Maybe it was me. Everyone says I look like Sammy Hagar. You just misidentified me in the dream. It's possible.
So I'd love to be in a big band. It could be a pipe dream. The other thing I'm working on is I'd like to start my own company someday. Something music related, maybe guitar and accessories, or who knows, man. That's what I'm looking at next, is sort of on the entrepreneur side of things.
Mm-hmm.
Because you have to, like Michael said, you have to diversify. You have to change with the times. And I worked in record companies back in the day. I worked at Virgin Records and EMI and all that. And I read the writing on the wall. I was like, man, this is bad. This is like a bloodbath. I knew that the recorded music business was done. And that's when I started to look into like education. I kept getting offers to do education. And I said, why am I fighting this? If they're going to keep throwing money at me, I'm going to take it. Right. Yeah. So you have to get in where you fit in sometimes,
Well, and it's good to look for opportunities and be able to, and not only embrace them, but also have the chops to, take the job and flourish in the job as well.
Absolutely.
And I will say, if you've never heard Dave play guitar, dude, he's a badass shredder. He's really talented.
Oh, thank you.
Well, obviously, I never picked up the phone, so I don't know if he.
Can I mention one other thing about Dave?
Yeah.
It sounds a little bit like shameless self-promotion, but Dave had a big part in this. I did an album called Intermezzo. And an intermezzo, the Italian word, what they used to do is between like an opera, they would have an intermission. And the intermezzo was in the intermission. And many times there was like the pop songs of the day in between this big opera. So it was kind of like an in-between section. And I kind of thought about my life like that at the time. But I asked Dave to help me on this. And he single-handedly, I wanted to get a lot of guest artists. I've always had big names on my albums. Dave went, how about George Lynch, Dave? Oh, yeah. So Dave was like the catalyst. I mean, who do we get, Dave? Michael Romeo, Guthrie Govan, Chris Poland, Jeff Loomis, Craig Goldie. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. And Dave wrote a song on the album called Juggernaut. I keep getting all this requests to do it. And I keep telling people it's not my song. They think they at first thought it was mine, but even though your name is on it, but online when you download it or you hear it on Spotify, they don't tell you. But Dave did a really amazing job. He did a fantastic solo, but he was like the catalyst to get all these other, I knew some of the people, but he really delivered on it. I mean, it was just great. It's a really great album, but his song Juggernaut's killer. It's awesome.
That's awesome.
You can play it. You have my permission. You can play it.
Well, we're gonna wrap it up here. We're right at the top of the hour, and again, thank you guys, Michael, Angelo Batio. See, now you've got me self-conscious about saying it wrong. Dave Reffett, Michael Molenda. Thank you guys for being a part of the show today, and Kingdom of Rock. Thank you for listening. I just wanted to let you guys know, give you a reminder, and I don't think I mentioned this to Michael and Dave. Every Sunday, all show guests, we have a Zoom meetup for all previous show guests. It's kind of like a networking event for people that have been on the show as a guest. It's a lot of professional musicians, marketing experts. We had a great showing last week for our first meetup, and then that's from 1 p.m. to 2 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. I'll send out an email to you guys. Cool. And then 2 to 4 is a community meetup. So if you want to meet some of the Kingdom of Rock community, you're welcome to come to that as well. And if you guys want to be a part of that out there in the audience, you just go to the Kingdom of Rock Backstage Pass Facebook group and join. Make sure you fill out the questions that it asks you, or you won't get accepted. So we're trying to vet and get good people in there, and not just a bunch of people that want to like come in and like meet rock stars and ask for autographs and stuff. When there's a time for that, but we're trying to build community within the music community. So, but thanks guys for being on the show. Kingdom of Rock out. And you got any last words, Michael?
Me?
I just want to apologize to Dave for somehow never getting him into Guitar Player magazine. But
no worries.
but I still have I have Guardians of Guitar now, so I'm on the email, so hit me up if you want something. And obviously, Michael has been a great friend to Guitar Player readers throughout the years, and has been so awesome at sharing his knowledge and encouragement to people. And I think I might have interviewed you on the Intermezzo record. I can't remember. But
yeah, you did. Yeah. And then we did another one too. So it's
so thanks tons for everything you did for the Guitar Player community, and you continue to do for the Guitar Player community. So thank you, Mike. It's a pleasure to be on the show with both of you guys. Thank you.
Okay. Thanks, Michael. Thanks,
man.
so
Especially Dave. You stay safe over there, brother.
Thanks, buddy.
Yeah, you're in a crazy world, man.
read the news. Obviously, I can't say too much because of where I'm at, but it's the crazy stuff going on in the world, and yeah, the truth will come out.
All right, good to know.
Metal finds a way. So,
all right, guys. Thanks.
All right,
you guys. Ciao.